Tonight, the hunt for the baby harvesting syndicate has threat of Ghana and traded on international market.
Florence Aqua is a home help and clinic that to help her adopt a baby.
Also, we hear from the Ghana Medical and Dental Council after two.
If somebody comes in and then dies, the process of moving the body from the area of care to a temporary hold.
This is Top Story with Evans Mensah.
Belakwa mineral water. There is a hunt tonight for multiple agents linked Ghanaian babies abroad. At least 3 babies have been rescued from the syndicate. So far, 11 persons have been arrested. We have details of the latest arrest and plans to track down the ring leaders. Has been giving some updates.
Right, Evan. So the economics going on in some hospitals for a while. So there are 2 doctors who are the heart of this syndicate. One at the Tema General Hospital. Some parents went to 37 to give birth. This doctor actually directed them to go to Yoko. And so when they went there, these babies were, when the mother gave birth, it was, backstory was that this child had been sold to another person, and the information given to the mother that the child has passed on. And so Yoko giving some updates on the kind of investigations they've been doing and the dockets that they are sending to the Attorney General's department.
Arrest of Dr. Hope Kwashi Mensah as the one at the center of a syndicate based at Susan Clinic at one way or the other to do with the case, has been arrested and granted Yoko Inquiry Bay. The doctor just about submitting it to the Attorney General's office for advice and prosecution. One doctor, Noah Kofi General Hospital case. Through investigations, we will be able to trace the mother and statement taken from her. We are withholding the name because it's a minor and a student for that matter. There was a lady who hide. So finally, we had her arrested on 4 February 20, and that lady is Nancy Nanaya Frimpong. In the same Tema case, we had one Nelly Tego, he also was arrested, brought to Yoko, and is granted bail in his assisting investigations. The docket is almost...
Some fresh details today, suggesting how the harvested babies are now being smuggled out of Ghana and traded in
States of America, who came to Ghana and contacted this Dr. Hope, who is from the Susan Clinic, that he will give birth at his clinic and then sells them off to these women. And according to Yoko, they had a tip-off from a driver who picked these 2 women to doctors that started the whole investigation. We can listen to DCOP from Redupoku giving details on how these U.S. women came.
And we are saying that in 2019, Florence was introduced to Dr. Hope Kwashi to help her adopt a baby. In February, the same had a baby available for adoption, who was then in Ghana to pick up the baby from the doctor. And a part payment of 2. It was agreed that he pays the difference when he returns to Ghana for the final 2021, while in Ghana, and according to her, he was in Ghana to formalize the adoption process of the baby. Then we come to the friend who actually, so he sent the friend, Elena Ofori Insia, to go for the baby from Elena Ofori Insia, a former home help aide in the U.S. So Elena is also a friend for Florence Aqua to contact Dr. Hope Mensah of Susan Clinic at Okoshi. And Elena went with her nanny, Aku, to Dr. Mensah. And since February 2020 until 4th February 2021, the baby had been apprehended by Yoko and the police. As we speak now, the baby is a little over a year.
And
From
Evans,
the
you
Yoko.
hear from the Yoko boss saying something about adoption. So it's not really an adoption because an adoption them off under the pretext that they are adopting. But I'm sure they are all supposed to know that if you want to adopt,
Indication that they may be looking beyond the crowd, expanding the hunt.
right? So that's a question I put to DCOP details because they know that this issue is widespread in the country and they do not have enough support.
If you are not careful and you decide that all the regions should be working hand in hand with the medical and dental council, so then you can maybe expand our investigations.
Okay, I mean already the various professional bodies that, of course, regulate the midwifery council. Did they participate in this?
Right, they are not part of this operation, and that's actually should have probably come to us as well. But we'll get into those issues. But for now, 2 doctors are involved. Those are the 2 doctors that Yoko are willing. Those persons yet they do not want to put their names out, but there are 2 doctors involved. And then, at the end, these are even questions that the nurses and midwives are asking: that what happened to these 4 people? Did you find out finally that they were probably not involved, or what? For some advice from the Attorney General's office, and then they will proceed on investigations.
And we can now go into the first right now. I want to bring in Dr. David Tinkran, who is the General Secretary of the Nurses and Midwives Council, joins us on the telephone line. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time here on Top Story.
Thank you for having us.
Yes. Dr. Tinkran, David Tinkran, do I have from the Dental and Medical Council? I think they were part of the work that was done, and they were at the joint press conference. We know that at least today, in dealing with this particular problem.
Good evening, Evans, and good evening to your listeners. Indeed, we are dealing with the regulator, or in the case of the doctors, Dr. Divine of Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association, not the Nurses and Midwives regulator.
Noted, appreciation. Do you know the identities?
Not entirely. Indeed, initially, when those names were mentioned, now today Yoko's update is absent. Those names are palpably absent. And
That's on the line. Hello, Doc. Do I still have you?
Good evening, Evans
Yes.
Mensah.
Do I have you? Yes, great.
Yes, please.
Great. I know you had partnered the Yoko to do this and formally operating appropriately licensed to operate and practice this noble profession of yours.
Us were persons in good standing with us as a professional regulator, and both practiced in the area of worked at the Greater Accra Regional Hospital, popularly called RICH. And therefore, they were at the time. And I also want to further clarify that, remember that the allegation hospitals, privately operated hospitals, rather than from the public hospitals that they work with mandates of promoting and assuring public health, safety, and well-being, and then public confidence and trust in the health medical profession and its professional practice, and in compliance with our enabling legislation, those 2 practitioners, I can confirm, have been served notice.
Will there be some prosecution also?
I do understand if you, in respect of Susan Clinic, is almost ready by Yoko, and that they hope to supported, collaborated, and facilitated the investigations of Yoko. And it's also my understanding that given the public interest nature of the matters at hand, I think that out of abundance of caution, Yoko was ready to, and then the docket will be forwarded to the Attorney General's Department for advice and prosecution. It's very likely that upon the advice, related offenses, anti-human trafficking offenses, organized crime, and related of health facilities without registration, and a whole gamut. And I think that maybe the state lawyer to advise them on the propriety and the sufficiency of the charges. And we will do anything as a public agency to assist and facilitate the process where the matters will be determined in accordance with law and due process.
I mean, Doc, stay with me. I want to bring in, David Tinkren, who I lost earlier. Some of your members have been caught up in this. Has this formally come to your attention? Do you know them? Have you spoken to them? And what's the approach?
As I indicated earlier on, I don't know the extent at which Yoko is collaborating with Nurses and Midwifery Council, which happens to be the regulator of nurses and midwives. We, the association, have not had any collaboration with them. It's silent. We don't know the extent of their involvement, whether they've been, whether they are complicit or not. Now they've roped in a new nurse, a bit with our regulator, to be sure whether indeed she has a name on the registry. Now, if that happens, we'll let the public know.
Yeah, I mean, in our hospitals and clinics across the country. Your association, have you had cause to probe this or make some form of basic...
Well, we have done that, and I keep saying that nurses and midwives in this country, there are likely few people who may not want to go by the dictates that will weed out such people from the profession so that the public can grow confidence in us.
Trading of these harvested babies, it's not only been done in Ghana. They're now taking the babies. There's a case in which the United States, this particular problem. I know you've been working with Yoko on this. Is there a sense in which out of this country?
Thank you very much, Evans. Just before I get there, I think that I will want to share this information with you of the Ghana
Registered Nurses and Midwives Association. Yes.
But what I can confirm is that as part of the regulatory response, actually communicated to Yoko when the first briefing was to variously as nurses, nurse assistants, and all that. And I have no doubt that now has also come on board, that they will follow up. And I want to place on record that the Nursing and Midwifery Council has also been very responsive in their regulations will lead you. But we are not naive to have thought that it will only be confined here, because matters of human trafficking, of illegal trafficking of human persons, and therefore is not also of who have U.S. citizenship and then who were involved. Unfortunately for us, were able to track and arrest, place surveillance on the suspected house is the nanny, one Aku Elevu. So this is the only person outstanding, feeding, as they indicated in due course, to the AG's outfit with a docket for legal advice, and then we have no doubt that Yoko will follow the trail of the facts.
And I understand one of the things you're looking at immediately changing is just the medical professionals in a health facility. That procedure, I understand you plan to change it.
Assurance and quality management systems, and then has in the last 2 years or so been focusing on regulators, whether of service delivery, all regulators at the levels of the profession, to ensure that we exact accountability. And in the protocols around moving the bodies from the immediate care environment into the temporary holding area, and then the safekeeping, that all those processes will be re-looked at and examined carefully to if there are any, will be plaqued so that we minimize the occurrence.
Thoughts on this pretty disturbing matter? I want to hear from you on this.
941, available on Joy 99.7 FM in Accra. It's also live on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi, as well as affiliates across Ghana. For the legislature and judiciary is not reversed, insisting Alban Dagbing is clothed with powers to do so.
If Parliament has no power, then why did you exercise oversight and exercises control over the public purse? Unless you have a contrary law that I'm not aware of.
Meanwhile, the minority to first take pay cuts and lead by example.
The government, being the executive, should first eating so large. You think that is fair on them? That's a sin.
We hear from organised labour who have also mounted of that, and also leadership of the governing NPP to crack the whip on presidential aspirants